what is this really about? And what it has really created is really a campaign of fear among a community that is afraid to go to the doctor, afraid to send their kids to school, afraid to go to work at a time where, our economy is barely holding on. And so you see it when you walk through the city, you see it in construction sites. I hear from people who are trying to rebuild their homes in the Palisades in Altadena. This is having a significant impact on the way of life, not just in Los Angeles, but throughout the country.
Miguel, I'd like to start with you and maybe go by the numbers a little bit. You and I have known each other for a long time, so I can call you Miguel.
Indeed. Of
Um,
course.
what what kind of breakdowns are we seeing in who ICE has been picking up in terms of countries of origin? I will emphasize criminal records because we heard from Donald Trump that he's only going after the worst of the worst. Uh, where people are being found, their ages, the demographics, what kind of jobs they've been doing. Do you have a breakdown on that so we know where we're starting?
Certainly, and I'm going to focus on Los Angeles County because that really is where the campaign started, as we all know, in June. It really it started here because in many ways we are the epicenter of the undocumented community. We are a county of 10 million people. 1 out of 10 people here are undocumented. It is a well-established community. 2/3 of the people who are undocumented have been in Los Angeles for more than 10 years. 20% of the population are homeowners. There are people who've been here for a very long time. They are part of the economy. 1 of 4 children in this county live with one parent who are undocumented. So this is not just an issue that impacts part of the population. It impacts many, many families in the region. And so when the campaign started here in LA, it was very clear that the intention of the administration was to target a community that has been integrated into the fabric, into the economy, into the culture of this region. So focusing on the numbers. So from June to August, of the 1 million people that live here who are undocumented, only 4,163 people have been arrested. Now, that number is interesting because you wouldn't imagine that given all of the drama, given all of the fear, given all the deterioration of our civil rights and all of the precedent setting, the unmasked men, as was stated earlier, the new establishment of norms, including, as was earlier said, now basically legalizing racial profiling, where the federal government can literally grab people on the street based on their appearance, based on their language, based on how they dress, based on their work. I and many Latinos that I know in Los Angeles now walk around with our passports because we are concerned that at any point we could be detained. My parents, who've been here since the 1960s, are afraid to go outside of their home, as are many people who I know. Now, the important thing, as you stated, the administration started this campaign with a commitment to go after the worst of the worst. 70% of the people detained have no criminal record. And of those, 57 have never been charged with any single crime. And so, in fact, the worst of the worst are not being detained. These are individuals who are hardworking folks who have been part of this community for a very long time. Now, in contrast, it's important to state these facts that in 2012, under a different administration, in that year, there were 410 deportations, one of the largest deportation years in the country's history, even greater than what was experienced.
410?
410,000.
Okay.
410,000 deportations, including in the year of 1929 and 1930, when my grandparents, who had moved from central Mexico to Michigan, had lived there for 10 years. were rounded up and sent back to central Mexico nearly 100 years ago. Of those, 55% under a different administration were in fact criminal convictions. And that was done without mass men. That was done without an unprecedented investment in what we've seen, $170 billion investment that the Congress has made to enforcement that hasn't even started trickling in, and without the deterioration of basic fundamental rights that we have enjoyed in this country. So we are in a very important moment in our country's history. And so the question that I think we need to talk about is really trying to understand, what is this really about? Because if in Los Angeles, if you take it as a microcosm, given all of the focus and all of the attention that was placed, seeing military in MacArthur Park, as an example, to only generate 4,000 arrests. What is this really about? And what it has really created is really a campaign of fear among a community that is afraid to go to the doctor, afraid to send their kids to school, afraid to go to work, at a time where our economy is barely holding on. And so you see it when you walk through the city, you see it in construction sites. I hear from people who are trying to rebuild their homes in the Palisades in Altadena. This is having a significant impact on the way of life, not just in Los Angeles, but throughout the country.